10 times iCarly broke the internet. iCarly quickly became one of Nickelodeon's most popular shows after its premiere in 2007. So much so that iCarly has broken the internet several times. But before we jump into it, remember to hit that like button and ring the notification bell to keep up to date with our future videos. The premiere of iCarly. From its inception, iCarly proved to be a massive hit for Nickelodeon. The show was nominated for awards several times, and even though the show wasn't necessarily a hit with television critics in the beginning, it proved to be incredibly popular with its intended audience. The show's final episode aired in November of 2012, with a 2010 episode of iCarly holding the record of being the second most watched episode in Nickelodeon history. Miranda Cosgrove recalled the ending of the series, saying that the show needed to end because she planned on going to college. She mentioned in an interview that as soon as the show wrapped up, she packed her things and headed to the University of Southern California. She didn't even take time off to collect her thoughts. She immediately packed and left. It's also important to note that when the series began with Miranda, she was just 14 years old. The other actors were quite young as well, which is part of the appeal of the show. Though as they grew older, the show was beginning to dramatically change. Rather than continue to shift the overall plot and concept of the show, the actors and Nickelodeon both felt that it was time to end the series. Though fans hated to see the series go, the final episode was one of the highest rated iCarly episodes ever, a fitting end for such an incredibly well-written series. When the smoke had settled, iCarly proved to be one of Nickelodeon's most popular sitcoms in the mid to late 2000s. The show acted as somewhat of a follow-up to the incredibly successful show Drake and Josh. It featured Miranda Cosgrove, who also acted in Drake and Josh as its lead character, and the show's namesake. Other cast members included Jeanette McCurdy, Nathan Kress, Jerry Traynor, and Noah Munck. The show followed the life of a young girl named Carly, who had a wildly successful internet show. She hosted the show in the attic of her apartment, which she shared with her older brother Spencer. The plot of the show followed iCarly and friends' rise to internet stardom, while also having to deal with the struggles of high school and teenage life. Over the years, iCarly was home to many moments that caused the internet to erupt, with fans singing praises for the series. More often than not, these moments came alongside celebrity guest appearances on the show. We'd be willing to bet that most of you guys likely overlooked these cameos or simply forgot about them. I Party with Victorious. This episode was one of the most beloved by many fans of the series Victorious. This was one of the more memorable guest appearances in the series and has been a fan favorite episode for years. This was a mashup between two shows, but mostly revolved around Carly and her new boyfriend Steven. Carly was head over heels for Steven and felt as though the two could likely be together forever. She seemingly spent every waking moment with Steven, though things weren't exactly what they seemed. Sam found out that Steven had been cheating on Carly, so she set out to prove it. Carly refuses to believe, telling Sam, "Steven told me I'm one of a kind." Sam responds with a real gut kicker. "Yes, and my dad once told my mom that he was coming back." This was one of the best one-liners the series ever offered and has been one of the most memorable quotes from the series. The episode starred many of the characters from Victorious as well as a few surprise guests, but we'll get back to that in a moment. iPsycho. iPsycho is one of iCarly's more memorable episodes. This was a double-length episode that Nickelodeon advertised as a movie. The episode saw Carly and a gang being invited to a birthday party by a young girl named Nora. The young girl's parents had left town on her birthday, so Carly, Sam, and Freddie decided to help cheer the girl up. However, when the party ends, Nora traps the three in her basement, claiming that they were angels sent to change her life. The group manages to craft a secret message and send it to Gibby, asking him to rescue them. At the time, Gibby was at home, saddened by the fact that he wasn't allowed to go with them. While considering the list of things he could stay home and do, Gibby says that he will likely watch reruns of Different Strokes, a series starring Gary Coleman. When the episode aired, Gary Coleman had passed away just a week prior, sending chills down the spines of many viewers. Fans were over the moon that the episode would have paid homage to Gary's life and career, though as it would turn out, it seems to have been a simple coincidence. Still, fans were happy to hear how much of an impact Gary's career had left on his fans. Kenan Thompson. Long before Drake and Josh took the world by storm, Kenan and Kel had been teen America's favorite Nickelodeon stars. The series followed two friends, Kenan and Kel, and various antics that they would get themselves involved in. Kenan returned to Nickelodeon in the aforementioned episode, I Party with Victorious. The party the friends had been attending took place at Kenan Thompson's house. This is one of the first times Kenan had been on the set of a Nickelodeon show in many years, and fans were both shocked and incredibly excited to see him on screen again. We can't imagine how excited the cast and crew must have been to work alongside a legend like Kenan. Nathan Kress. Nathan Kress starred as Freddie Benson, playing the show's nerdy, shy character who at one point even had a love interest with Sam. Following the show, Kress starred in his first major film production for the film Into the Storm. The film was a box office success and profited substantially in its initial theater run. After this, Kress landed a directing role for the Nickelodeon series Henry Danger. This show has aired since 2014 and is still in production to this day. In May of 2015, Kress became engaged to his longtime girlfriend and co-star of Into the Storm, London Elise Moore. The two were later married in November of 2015 and had their first child in December of 2017. It was this small fact that sent the internet into a spiral. Many fans began to feel incredibly old after learning that young Freddie had finally settled down and had a child. OMG and I Love You. This was a landmark episode for iCarly. The jaws of fans everywhere hit the floor, and the internet went crazy following the premiere of this episode. Freddie and Sam had always had a pretty aggressive relationship with one another. Sam always pulled pranks on Freddie and made him the butt of every joke. However, their high school decided to have a lock-in, in which students stay overnight at the school to finish projects they had been working on. Freddie, Sam, and Brad team up on a project to create a mood-reading app for their tablet. The app works, and Freddie learns that Sam is in love, believing it to be with Brad. Freddie and Carly work to set the two up, but Sam insists she isn't in love with Brad. As Freddie has a heart-wrenching conversation with Sam outside of the school, Sam abruptly cuts him off and kisses him. She had been in love with Freddie the whole time. In the following episode, I Love You, Spencer has become involved in an unhealthy relationship with Jenna, his past babysitter. Sam and Freddie liken their relationship with one another to that of Spencer's. While locked in an elevator, they explain why their relationship simply wouldn't work out in the long run, ultimately deciding to break up. Though as the elevator opens up in the Carly's apartment, Sam begins to exit. Though before she can, Freddie proudly proclaims his love for Sam. She turns around and admits that she loves him as well. The two kiss once again as the elevator door closes, ending the episode. You may as well have taken a break from Twitter after this show aired because it's all most users were talking about. Noah Munck. No iCarly list would be complete without mentioning Gibby, who was portrayed by Noah Munck. Gibby landed a role in iCarly and starred in the show for 3 seasons before becoming a full-time character around 2010. Fans were shocked to have recently learned that Noah also produces electronic music under the pseudonym Noxic. He has been active since 2012, though he took a break around 2017. He is now posting music from a SoundCloud account known as Sad World Beats, a fairly popular account. Sam and Cat. One of the most memorable times that iCarly fans went absolutely crazy on social media is when Nickelodeon announced Sam and Cat, a new series that would follow the life of Sam Puckett after she left iCarly. The series starred Jeanette McCurdy but also featured none other than Ariana Grande. The show was relatively short-lived but generally received positive reviews from viewers. The show was on air from 2013 to 2014 with just 35 episodes ever making it to television. The show was ultimately canceled for a variety of reasons. I Go One Direction. One Direction is a band that needs no introduction. They were at the top of the charts for most of the 2010s, though they eventually broke up. However, when One Direction was at the top of their game, they appeared on iCarly. Fans couldn't believe such a mashup could exist, with this episode proving to be a fan favorite. The episode followed Harry Styles, who pretended to be sick so Carly would take care of him, though Carly found out he had been faking it and put an end to his charade. The group later got together and sang What Makes You Beautiful. Sam's mother. Sam was very vocal about her issues with her mother throughout the series, but no iCarly moment was more shocking than when Sam's mother finally appeared on screen for the first time. As it would turn out, Sam's mother was portrayed by none other than Jane Lynch. A more fitting role has never existed. Both fans and critics were shocked by the appearance of Jane, but we couldn't have been more excited to see her appear in an episode